Good morning, everybody. It is your girl, Jardin.
And it's your girl, Nicole.
And we're here with the Playbook Diaries podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Drum roll, Nicole, please. We have our guy, Mr. Chris Polk. Quick little background on Mr. Chris Polk. I found him on TikTok. I consume a lot of his content. Awesome content to keep you caught up on all things college football. Super knowledgeable on the sport. Chris is a Texas A&M grad, so you know he's smart. He's got the education with him, and he majored in he majored in sports management and was a part of the Texas A&M football operations team. How are you, Chris?
I'm great, so I'm great, man. And we had a great weekend of college football, and I'm ready for another one. And of course, thank y'all for having me tonight. Appreciate it, y'all.
Of course. And welcome to the Playbook Diaries podcast. We love the banter, so let's get to it.
Oh yeah,
let's
get to
y'all.
it.
Let's do
Before
it.
we jump straight into the college football updates, Chris, quickly tell us what is football operations. For those that don't know what football operations entails, what is that?
Oh yeah, but so y'all, everybody sees the glitz and gamers of recruiting and the game day stuff, but football operations is the side of college football that nobody sees. It's the bank accounts, it's the housing, it's the NIL negotiations where stuff really gets down.
Really?
So it's the equipment, it's the jerseys, everything, y'all. Classes, how kids get from class to class, how they get from apartment to class, like. So y'all, I mean, it's the dark side.
What is it? It's like
It's the dark
supply
side.
chain. It's like supply chain logistics for college football.
It's the
for college
logistics.
football.
That is it's the logistics side. It's beautiful, but it's also ugly at the same time. But we get the job done every time.
Okay, to pop off today's episode, we are going to start with the recap of last week's football games where we had some major upsets. First of all, the biggest upset last week we know was the Oklahoma versus Alabama game where they played at the Sooners' home at the Magical Palace, and Oklahoma dominated Bama in a 24-3 win, which is absurd considering Oklahoma had 14 players out.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's. I was so happy.
I know you happy. You haven't been happy in a long time.
Wow!
Oh my! Long time. And
I've been waiting on this night all year long.
Yeah.
You see how she stabbed the air with it. It's cool.
As an OU grad, I was watching this from the wedding that I was at last weekend, and I was in that church acting a fool. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're like beating them!" Like it was crazy. But next up, we have Auburn versus Texas A&M, where Auburn surprisingly beat Texas A&M in a 43-41 win. Chris, how do you feel about that?
Chris know the face.
Crazy, y'all.
Yeah.
4.5 hour long game, y'all. And we came out with an arrow. I'll say, y'all, just wrap it up, get this game off TV.
How many? Didn't it go into overtime?
It went into multiple overtimes, y'all. And still caught an arrow.
4 overtimes. Yeah,
still caught
4
an
overtimes.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Had a good fight.
To Auburn, of all people.
I know what I'm saying. Of all people, Auburn. Oh, come on, man.
Then we had a BYU loss to Arizona State in a 23-28 game, which that shook up the Big 12.
We love that.
All of the rankings.
We love that.
That shifted the Big 12 majorly. And then we had Florida beat Ole Miss 24-17.
I don't think we expected that. We didn't expect that.
I did not expect it.
Not 2 weeks in a row from Florida.
Yeah. That also shook up the rankings ridiculously because was Florida even ranked?
No.
Florida was not ranked.
It was not ranked.
And Ole Miss was ranked top 12.
I don't think Florida is ranked right now.
Yeah,
I don't think so either.
That's
crazy. And then we had Kansas versus Colorado. Colorado looked strong in these past couple of weeks, but they lost. Colorado lost 21-37
that was tough.
To Kansas. I think that was random as hell.
It was.
That was
so random.
But Kansas came in. So Kansas came in ready to play. I watched the entire game. They came in from the jump ready to play. Colorado did some catch up, but it's just how they started the game.
They couldn't tackle. Colorado couldn't tackle. He had over 200 yards combined. Four total TD. They couldn't tackle. You couldn't tackle one dude because of that. Yeah, you might not get into the playoffs. So
yeah. So all those games shook up the college football rankings, which is what we're going to discuss. And so my eyes were wide open looking at these college football ranking updates. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Oh, I mean, we can get right into it. Let me finish these last two games. We have Penn
For
State
sure.
versus Minnesota last week, where Penn State barely beat Minnesota 26-25. Minnesota, you dropped the ball. Y'all are trash. Y'all should have
Stop.
won that game.
Y'all
They
are
lost. Like,
trash.
they get the trash. The only team from Minnesota that we can depend on is the damn dance team. The damn
For real.
NCAA champions. Everybody else is unreliable. It's nothing to do in that city. Y'all had all year to play to beat Penn State, because Penn State really is not that good this year.
You get that close, you might as well go win it. That's all I
Penn
gotta
State
say.
ranked number 4 though.
Shoot, man. I don't know
And
if
they
they deserve that
shouldn't be.
ranking.
They
I
don't.
don't know if they deserve that ranking.
They haven't
Gotcha.
played anybody of massive skill. I'm over it. But and then the last game we have Indiana versus Ohio State, where Indiana got whooped. Indiana is also a team that I don't believe deserves to be ranked in the top 15. Indiana lost 15-38. So, like we mentioned before, that shook up a lot.
Body rocket.
For mostly the Big 12 is in a four-way tie because of last week's games. And then we have the SEC that will be battling out this weekend for a slot, Texas A&M and Texas, for a slot in the SEC championship. So, who wants to go over the CFP rankings, or y'all want me to run through the top 15 real quick?
I can
y'all run
run
through
through.
it.
I
Yeah,
can
run
I can
through
run
it.
through it real quick. So we
All right,
have
go ahead, Nicole.
So we have Oregon at number 1. We have Ohio State at number 2. We have Texas at number 3. We have Penn State at number 4. Notre Dame at 5. Miami at 6. Georgia at 7. Tennessee at 8. SMU at 9. Indiana 10. Number 11 is Boise State. 12 is Arizona State. 13 is Alabama. 14 is Clemson. And 15 is South Carolina. I have never seen Alabama, from what I recall in college football. I've never seen Alabama and Clemson this low.
So let me ask y'all a question. We know that there's a bias towards Alabama, but there has been a bias towards a Nick Saban Alabama. This is our first year without Nick Saban. Do we think that they are really going to leave Alabama out of the playoff bracket?
Yeah, I think they're going to leave Alabama out. Literally, someone needs to drop the ball within ranking 1 through 12 for Alabama to go up. Alabama needs SMU to lose, specifically probably, and that Alabama just might lose out this year, which is crazy. But hey,
For Alabama to not make a
it's crazy.
12-team playoff bracket,
It's crazy.
insane.
It
But
almost
no, it
seemed
is-
too easy. It seemed
Yeah.
way too easy for them to get
But
in.
Yeah.
I mean, but they just got mollywopped by OU, so it kind of is like, bro, we can't really help you.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
you ain't
that
helping
solidified
yourself.
it.
You
You
not
didn't help
helping
yourself. You didn't help yourself. So
Like,
it's like,
you lost to, so now that would make it that
My
Alabama
life.
lost to 2 unranked teams, an unranked Oklahoma, an unranked
Mhm.
Vanderbilt. And
Yeah.
then, so for Bama to even be able to move up is if Vanderbilt beats somebody this week, and whoever
Vanderbilt
Vanderbilt
have to
plays.
beat Tennessee. Man, a lot would have to happen for
and
Alabama. to get
SMU
in.
would have to lose to Cal as well, because
Ele-
Cal is
Yeah.
unranked.
Yeah, somebody above Alabama would have to lose, and it would probably have to be SMU to where they go down a couple points. and Bama
Exactly,
gets
because they're
pushed
already
up.
low.
Because
Mhm.
So-
Bama it's clear it's not possible for them to make it to the SEC championship to be able to play another game.
So Bama needs a lot of help. I mean, they might get. I mean, they need Tennessee to lose. They need Notre Dame to lose against USC. They need SMU, A&M, and Indiana to lose. So, because I mean, they're not even the next team up. Like, even
mean,
if those
facts.
teams lose, Clemson is still looking like we up next.
So Alabama needs a scratch off ticket. The chance of them getting in is definitely.
Or Arizona State could lose too. They're 12.
Oh
It's true.
man,
So one team that I think is pretty undeserving, is Boise State. Boise State is pretty
Boise State,
undeserving. Dude.
They're ranked
Come
11. They're ranked
look at
11.
the resume. Okay, why?
Tell
Why,
us the
Nicole?
resume, because
Look
you
at the
tell us-
resume.
You tell us about it.
What else do you want them to do? They beat everybody that was in front of them except for the number 1 team in the
Polka
country.
dot. Polka
They
dot.
lost by what, 3 points to the number 1 team in the country. Number 1 team in the
Polka
country.
dot.
But look,
Polka dot.
it's about strength of schedule. It's just simply not there. They have not. They
Polka
played
dot.
Texas.
Okay.
Okay,
Come on, polka dot.
We want to talk about strength of schedule. Let's talk about Notre Dame playing 4 G5 schools.
It's
we
true.
Let's
been
talk about
said
strength of
we
schedule.
also said Notre Dame did not belong up there.
Boise State has been too high and too much of a conversation for too long. Boise State went against Portland State. What the hell? Boise State went against Washington State. Come on. Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State. So you went against Mountain West, and then you went against.
Boise State played college football JV teams. That's what it
And
played.
they won their they're on their way to winning their conference, as they were
Fair.
told to do. The
Fair.
best G5 team gets in the playoff. And as
That's
of right now,
fair.
as of today, Boise State is the best G5 team in the country.
I
Maybe
just don't
Tulane,
think
though.
11. I don't think
11
I
is just
think
crazy
11,
to me.
11 is egregious.
I personally have
lowest they've
Boise
been.
State
This is the lowest
as
they've
the
been.
4 seed. I think Boise State should be the 4 seed because that Big 12
Interesting.
team, that Big 12 conference is hideous. That whole let's be real. That whole Big 12 conference, none of them deserved it in. Not one.
Wait, do you
Not one
think
of 'em.
that the Big 12 conference was just more competitive? They're just more
No.
competitive.
I just don't think that great. I mean,
Interesting.
Kansas State is not good. What do you got think? Okay, let's break it down. So the top 4 seeds are conference champions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the number 4 seed, the 4th best conference champion, will be Boise State above whoever comes out of the Big 12. Because the Big 12,
Interesting.
as
Well,
y'all said, it's a traffic jam. Like it's an
So-
ugly
Is it-
traffic jam.
So
That's
I
fair.
let him cook. After letting him cook, when you explain it that way, yes. Yes.
It's ugly.
When you think of the
I
G5
mean-
schools, like, yeah, Boise State comes in. When I say like ranking Boise State as 11, it's like Boise State I don't think would be Bama. I don't think Boise State would be Oregon
No.
or Penn State or I don't think they would beat Notre Dame. That's why I'm like, would they really who are they ranked above? Would they beat Arizona State?
Boise
Maybe.
State at number
Maybe
11.
they would.
Boise State at number 11. I don't think that they would be 12 to 15. I don't
They
think that
would
they
not.
would be.
I
I
don't
don't think
think
they would
that
be
they would.
Arizona State, Alabama, Clemson, and South Carolina. I can argue the same for
No.
SMU in a way.
I would argue the same thing for
So
SMU
I
as
want to
well.
be fair. I just feel like SMU
Oh,
has
you
played
being
more.
fair.
I just
being
think
fair.
that SMU has played more challenging teams.
Oh, you have. I think the
So-
ACC is also weak, but I mean,
Oh.
shoot, it's better than
It's
Mountain West
better than Mount
Conference.
West. Yeah.
I think that, but
But-
the SEC, we have to all agree that the SEC is the strongest conference right now.
Yeah.
SEC is the strongest conference, and SEC is the most competitive within. Like they are literally, like you said before, they're cannibalizing each other. And so I think that is. I mean, unfortunately, Alabama has lost against 2 unranked teams, but that is what is hurting SEC in a way. The fact that it's just so competitive.
And
It's way
it's
too competitive.
inconsistent. This is inconsistent.
Yeah. That's Bama. You want to talk about inconsistent? That's Bama. You can't lose to Vandy and then just go
Come
tear
on.
up on other teams and then go lose to
Yeah.
OU a couple weeks later. Like, that's bipolar. Like, you should be.
Yeah.
You
and
look
I
up
think that-
bipolar in dictionary, it's going to be Alabama 2024 team. Because this team is ridiculous.
I actually think that Bama losing to Oklahoma is way worse than Bama losing to Vandy because Oklahoma has
I like that.
14 players out. Oklahoma team with 0 receivers. There are no receivers.
Like, how did they score?
How did this team? Well, I mean, like the three.
I'm just saying.
Like 3 scores were on interceptions. So there's
Oh
that.
wow.
I want to say
they
3 were
weren't
on
pretty.
interceptions.
They weren't pretty.
But I'm just like, I mean, I've been to some college stadiums. Oklahoma Stadium is not the type of stadium where it's like, oh my God, like no team comes to Oklahoma. It's like, that's a hard stadium to play when they're at home. That's not our stadium. I'm gonna be honest. If that was Tennessee, that's a hard stadium to
Yeah,
win
hard
on the
stadium.
road. Michigan, hard stadium to win on the road. Ohio State, extremely hard to win on the road.
Ridiculously hard.
Oklahoma's not one of those hard home games.
They're not. They're
It's
not.
a tamer field.
It's
But
not.
anyways,
I agree.
so we go into that. Let's talk about the matchups coming up this week that we should look forward to the week 14 of college football. So obviously the biggest game, Chris, you want to guess what it is?
Oh,
He knows. He
if
knows.
it's not Ohio State, Michigan is crazy. I mean, that's my personal opinion. It's called the game.
I
It's
didn't
called
expect
the
that.
game.
I didn't even
That's called
expect that.
the
I was thinking
game.
some. I thought he was
That was
gonna say
no.
his
I thought
alma
he
What are y'all
mater.
thinking? That's what I'm
I thought he
thinking.
was. I thought you were
The
gonna say your
biggest.
alma. I thought you were gonna say A&M versus Texas.
Look, all I know is this. My Aggies look
We
a
both
little
like,
bit.
oh.
My Aggies we've been struggling. We can't
Okay.
block as of right now. We can't tackle on defense. We can't run the ball. Our best player, Marcel Reed. If he's not on the field, we don't win games. If he can't run the ball, we can't win games.
But that's still not the game. No one's looking forward to that game because it should be a blowout. It's like
It should be.
Ohio State versus Michigan. Yeah, it's a rivalry game, and you really I have a rule. It's like you never gamble or bet money on rivalry games because you'll have an unranked team
It's
beat
too
the number one
much.
team in the
Yeah.
country. You don't do that.
Right.
But I still who the hell is looking forward to Ohio State versus Michigan?
I didn't see that coming, Polka Dot. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I didn't think he was
I
going to
love
say
my
that
squad.
either.
I love my team, but I'm
You know,
very
I do like
rude with
being
my team.
surprised. I
Well,
like being
I'm very rude with
surprised.
my team.
Well,
I'm very rude with my team.
according to College Game Day, the
What
most
y'all? So y'all gonna
and-
say
and
A&M? Y'all gonna say Texas
Texas, yeah.
A&M? Okay. Take it. Oh, go ahead.
According to College Game Day in ticket sales, Texas versus Texas A&M to secure a spot in the SEC championship. The winner of that game will go to the SEC championship game and play Georgia. So I think that is the bigger game. There is more on the line for that game.
It's a lot on line.
Also, Nicole and I spoke about it earlier this week, and the stats have come in for ticket sales, and the Texas versus Texas A&M game is the most expensive sporting ticket this week, out costing even NFL games.
Oh, yeah.
A nosebleed is
most expensive
600
game.
and a nosebleed ticket is $601
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
to even
Yeah.
enter in. To even enter in,
And
And-
that's a standing ticket.
that's a
That's
standing
you standing
ticket.
there.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, I'm telling you, I've maybe seen upwards of 40 games there in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Y'all. I'm telling you, like if you up high, it shakes. Like I'm telling
Really?
you, it's loud.
That's kind of
Yeah, I mean,
scary.
it shakes.
Yeah, that
It's
is. I'm not doing that.
shit scary, but I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be there, y'all. So I'll be rocking out with my team, with my squad.
Oh, will
I'll be
you?
down there. I'll be there, y'all. It's my
Hey.
team. This is where I went to school. This is who I work for. I'm shoot, y'all. I help move these kids in, help set up bank accounts, class
Wow.
schedules. I'm gonna go root for my boys. I didn't talk to
Wow.
them.
Well, I do want to hear what you think about that game. I'm debating on that one in LSU versus Oklahoma just because my love for Death Valley. I love a night game in Death Valley, and I haven't been since 2018. So I'm like, but this
That'd be
game
a
is the
fun
more
one.
exciting one.
Mm.
You said what?
I gotta say, any game in Death Valley, y'all, you
It's a
can't
crazy
miss.
game.
Them
It's just
Yeah.
games
lit.
are crazy, y'all.
It's like a party. Tailgating out in
Yes.
LSU it's like a party. I'm so excited. But another game to look forward to that has a lot on the line. No, we haven't heard much from Oklahoma State this season. Essentially
You
nothing.
haven't.
But Oklahoma State is playing Colorado for a spot in the Big 12 championship. I'll get into it a little bit later in the episode. But there are some other things that Colorado has to have happen for them to secure a spot in the Big 12 championship. But one of those things that needs to happen is they need to defeat Oklahoma State, which should happen.
Should
But the way college football is going right now, I wouldn't bet any money on any college game this season. It's been
Just
ridiculous.
watch. Just watch and keep your coins. Invest in
Yeah.
the stock market. Literally invest in the
Yeah,
stock
invest
market.
in the stock market.
Because
That's safer money
you-
right now.
Facts. You will go broke on these parlays.
Exactly.
Colorado is a team that is just you just don't know. You don't know until the game starts, and even when the game starts, you still do not know.
You
And they
still
have
don't know.
proven that each and every game. They're unpredictable, but very, very entertaining.
Very
yeah, entertaining
entertaining,
for
but very
sure.
but very unpredictable. Another game is Notre Dame versus oh Lord, I can't even read my own writing. Who does Notre Dame play this week? I had no clue.
Oh, they play
Notre Dame?
USC. They play in they're playing SoCal, and I've been
That
telling
is
everybody
that is what I wrote.
they
USC
gonna lose that
versus
game,
Notre
y'all.
Dame.
They
You
gonna
think
lose that
Notre
game.
Dame? I
They gonna
want
lose
them
that
to
game.
lose. And
They
keep
gonna
in
lose that game.
mind, Notre Dame, for those new viewers or people new to college football, Notre Dame is not eligible for a spot in the top 5, in the top 5 seeds of the playoff bracket because to be ranked in the top 5, you have to belong to a conference. And Notre Dame, being stingy and greedy as fuck with their money, refuses to join a conference. So
Stingy.
they
I hate
can
Notre
only
Dame.
come in at 6. The 6th seed is the highest that they can come in at. So there's so you're saying that Chris that USC is going to win.
Yeah. USC
Wait,
gonna win
my
that game.
question is, I have a question. if they can only come in at 6, I actually did not know that fact. I knew it, but I didn't critically think about it. If they can only come in at 6, why are they ranked at 5th? Shouldn't
So if
Miami
they're
be ranked at 5th?
so if they're
Anyways,
no. So the rankings will still go like they'll still rank them 1 through 25. Once they
but
take
going
those
in,
rankings,
gotcha.
Definitely.
once they finalize them, they're gonna take that top 25, and then the rankings will change. Not the rankings will still be the rankings, but the top 5 highest ranking conference champions will be seeds 1 through 5. Seeds 6 through 12 will then be the next 7 best teams. So with that playoff bracket, with those rules, you can have a number 23 team come in and make it to the playoffs and knock out a number 12 team.
Mhm.
If the number 23 team
It's
is
possible.
the winner. I mean, Colorado was ranked what, 25?
Yeah, they can still find a way to get
I'm
in the
not gonna hold
playoffs.
you. I don't know anybody below 15.
Okay. Well, I think Colorado was 23, 24, 25.
There
But
are some teams that can get in, y'all, that
There
yeah,
are some teams I can get
they're
in.
not far off.
Colorado still has a good chance, a decent chance of still making it to the playoff bracket, even though because if they're a conference champion, they will.
So I have a quick question for Polka Dot. So
Okay.
for one, how long or have you been following college football for a long time? And if the answer is yes, how do you feel about this new 12-team bracket and how it's panning out? Like, what are your thoughts on this new regime in a way?
I mean, y'all been covering the sport longer than I have, man. But I just got into it maybe two,
Yeah.
3 years ago, really. And after I graduated, that's when I really got. Once I got out of the A&M space, and I saw like, oh, it's a much bigger scale than just A&M. I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna cover everybody. But
Yeah.
after, look, I tell you, the way I have seen college football transition from non-NIL to NIL, from BCS to a playoff, from 14 to 12 teams, I'm looking
Right.
at it like we really don't know what we want in this sport. We really don't. But you know, the one thing that everybody wants is money. Money
Is
talks.
money.
Period.
That's the
Period.
number
The
one
people
thing.
that are running this sport are the TV networks. They're the ones that want this 12-team playoff. They're the ones that wanted this. Oh, let's get rid of divisions and conferences. Let's have the best 2 teams play each other. They're the ones that want this. I personally do not like the 12-team playoff because I don't personally believe there are not 12 teams in the country that are capable of winning a national championship. Let's be real. Do you think Arizona
Interesting.
State can win a national championship?
I do
No.
not think
No.
so.
No.
I do
Do you
not think
think
so.
do you
I
think
don't.
Penn State can win a national championship this year?
Maybe.
I gotta go back to my
Maybe.
list.
I mean, they're
No,
top
no,
4. They're top
no,
If you
not
4.
watch
Penn
them
State.
play,
I don't think so. I don't think that they would win. No.
there's
I
about
really
6
think that
teams. That's it.
I think
I
that
think that's
really
a fair
gonna
something fair to say
that's a fair
that
assessment.
with the 12-team bracket, it's like, do you think all 12 teams or any of the 12 like are all 12 teams capable of winning a
Like
national title? And that's not the
genuinely,
truth. That's not the
Well,
truth.
I think really the top 3, Oregon, Ohio State, or Texas, and I honestly think Texas is gonna take the whole thing.
Oh,
Okay, I
interesting.
can respect that. From a Sooner, from this coming from a Sooner, y'all, by the way. This coming from a Sooner.
It's a pretty
Everybody take note of
non-biased
that.
approach. You know, that
Yeah,
was a
very
strong,
like
noble statement of yours.
that
Yeah.
was
Not
very
no.
nice. Like that was
I really appreciate. Yeah, wow. You are reasonable.
I've always been pretty real, and I try to like remove myself from it, and it's just like Texas is looking like the most consistent. They played the most consistently. They've only lost to Georgia. It wasn't a blowout. What did they lose by, like 10 points? And so it's just like they've been the most consistent team.
They've
They haven't
proven.
lost to anybody unranked. So
For sure.
Yeah.
we shall see.
I
And I
mean,
think that if they play Georgia again, I think they would take it.
It might be different.
I
I'm
think that they
going
would
to
take it.
I'm going to take my Ducks. I'm gonna take Oregon as the team that's gonna win it all, which is, I guess, maybe okay, take the number 1 team, but they have not done anything wrong.
Yeah,
Their schedule's
Literally.
been a
that's
lot.
legit.
Their schedule's been a lot easier than everybody else's though. When you look at Texas' schedule compared to Oregon's schedule, Texas' schedule was more difficult than Oregon's.
Because they in the SEC. I mean, because they in the SEC.
Yeah, Oregon really only had to wake up for Ohio State. All the rest of the game's been easy breezy.
Yeah.
It was one close call, but I'm trying to think. I forgot who it was.
Remember, they struggled to start. They barely beat Idaho. Like, Oregon started off really struggling, and then the chemistry got going because they got a lot of transfers.
Can we get our jitters out? Can they get their jitters? It was like August 31st.
Yes.
Yes, man.
But now look at them. They on a roll. They the
It's
best
true.
team in the country.
They honestly
So when you
barely
say
lost
Oregon,
to
I agree
Boise
with you.
State. They barely beat Boise State. That's the only reason why Boise State has been up in conversation.
That's the only reason, yeah.
Because the Boise State lost by 3 points to Oregon.
That is
So they're
the
like,
best
hey.
loss in the country.
That's
the
best
close.
loss in the
loss.
country.
That's close
the
for
closest.
comfort. So
Yeah.
that does show a little bit of Boise State's
They helped
ability.
Boise a
even
lot.
though
Yeah.
we were dogging up earlier. So we got 3 more games to review. South Carolina versus Clemson. This week, the last week of college football, is typically known as rivalry week. I hate that word. Where in-state teams play each other. You have the state playing the university, big brother versus little brother. So you have South Carolina versus Clemson, which both of those teams are on the cusp. So the winner of that game could jump up into the playoff bracket. We have Auburn versus Alabama.
Oof.
Auburn is not ranked, I don't believe.
No.
But if Alabama loses to Auburn, they're
That's it.
100% done.
You
Like,
might
that's
go-
it.
Jump out the plane. You're done.
We've
Jump out
already
the plane.
given you so many chances. Yeah.
And then
sure.
a surprising one that has playoff implications is Arizona versus Arizona State for a spot, for a guaranteed spot in the Big 12 conference. For Arizona State. For Arizona State, if they win and beat Arizona, they get in. But like Chris said, like Arizona State's not gonna win a
They can
national
get in playoff.
championship.
You can have
They
fun.
get a playoff. They're not
we'll
gonna
let you
win.
win. We'll let you
Look,
win.
It's like you can come into the party, but you can't go in the VIP because you're not really finna win.
You're not gonna be in the section.
Yeah. You're gonna be in the section.
You're not gonna be in the section.
That's what I'm saying.
You
don't get
or
a
you
vibe.
can stand. You can stand. Like
Exactly. You can
in
be
the
around,
front.
but you can't get a vibe.
You can be around, but you can't.
Exactly.
We can't give you a shot.
Exactly.
I don't know
So
what I'm saying.
with that being said, the Big 12 has a 4-way tie, and I'm going to list out some scenarios that have to happen for each of these 4 teams to get a spot in the Big 12 conference championship. So not a spot in the playoffs, a spot in the Big 12 conference championship. So for BYU to get into the Big 12 championship game, they have to beat Houston plus Arizona State or Iowa has to lose.
And Arizona State.
It has to be both.
And
That can
Arizona
happen.
State goes against Arizona, and Iowa goes against.
That could happen.
I forget who. Iowa goes against Kansas State.
Got you.
So
That can
Iowa,
happen.
That's possible.
That's possible.
Iowa can also get in to the Big 12 championship. Iowa only needs a win against Kansas State. They don't need to wait for nobody to lose. If Iowa beats Kansas State, which is highly likely, they make it to the Big 12 championship.
And that's starting
You're
out.
talking about, and you're talking about
started hot.
Iowa State.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Iowa.
No, it's got to be Iowa State. 'cause
It's
they
got to
in
be
Big
Iowa
12.
State. Iowa goes against Nebraska.
Iowa State, yes.
Got you. I just want to clarify.
But
And don't
who's
forget-
let me correct myself. Who's in the 4-way tie? Iowa or Iowa
The
State?
people is Iowa,
Iowa
State.
State.
It is Arizona
Okay.
State, Iowa State, BYU, and
In
Colorado.
Colorado. Okay, perfect. So Iowa State needs a win against Kansas State,
Yes.
and they make it in. Which, if
That's
I'm
not
looking
easy, though.
correctly, it's not easy. But Iowa State is one of those teams that is not ranked in the top 15. So that is a team that will, if they win the Big 12 championship, if they get in and win, they will take up one of those 12 spots.
Yeah.
That is not accounted for right now. They're not in the top 15. So that is a scenario where someone could get in and make it the next best 6 teams instead of the next best 7 after their conference
Yup.
championship.
And
So
only one team out of
Arizona's-
the Big 12 again in.
Yeah.
Only one team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only
Yeah.
one team in the Big 12 is getting. I
That
agree
is
with
a terrible conference.
Jesus Christ.
Arizona State only needs to beat Arizona, and they get a guaranteed in.
I think that's gonna happen. Because Arizona's 2-6 for the
They're
conference.
2-6.
Yeah, that
All-
should happen.
It should happen.
It should happen. But Alabama should have beat. Alabama
should
should have beat
Oklahoma.
Vandy.
It
should
It should be Oklahoma, right?
It should have
LSU
beat
shoulda
Vanderbilt.
Florida.
Yeah.
Ole Miss should have beat Florida.
It's true. It's
So,
true.
All
And then
Arizona
we
State
don't
gotta
know.
do, all they gotta do is beat the best wide receiver in the country, Ketchero McMillan, and beat Noah Fafita, who won Freshman of the Year in the Pac-12 last year. That's all they gotta do is beat those 2 great players. That's it, right? That's all they gotta do.
That's
should be that
all.
easy.
That's all. That's
Should be
all.
that easy.
So Colorado has to have a lot of things
Lot of help.
fall into place for them to be eligible. So Colorado has to beat Oklahoma State, plus they need 2 teams to lose. They either need Arizona State to lose, Iowa State to lose, or BYU to lose, but they need 2 of those 3 teams to lose for them to make it into the Big 12
That's a lot.
conference game.
I
That's
think that
a lot.
I think Iowa State versus Kansas State will be a good game. We really don't know who's going to win. That's one.
I agree.
Also, Colorado was easily going to beat Oklahoma State. They're 0-8.
Yeah.
They're 0-8 in the
rough.
conference.
It's been rough.
It's been a rough road for them.
It's been rough.
So I do think it's a lot of conditions, but buckle up, you know.
And like we said before, the SEC, like Georgia is already in the SEC championship game. That's a guaranteed. And then the winner of the Texas A&M and the UT game,
Yeah.
the real UT, is who gets in. I had to add that. But yeah, so there's those things that are coming into play. It's going to be a very hectic week for college football. Very exciting. Not a week that I will put any money up. Not for my pockets.
Hey.
Hold on. I wanted to ask y'all,
What's
who
that?
do y'all think, each one of y'all, Jardin Nicole, who do y'all think is on upset alert for this weekend? If you have to look at all these games that we've covered, even some that we haven't covered, what is one team that could get into the playoff that truly might be on upset alert? Because
You said what is one team that could get into
just
the
one team
playoffs?
that
or
could
just
get into
one-
the playoff or is projected to make the playoff that could really get upset this week and get knocked out. If y'all could choose one each. Because I think I got one. And mine is Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is.
I was about to say that. I think Notre Dame can lose to USC easily, and especially when it's at USC's home.
But
Yeah.
Notre Dame is ranked 5, so I think if they lose to an unranked USC, they're not going to put them
all the way down after 12. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think they're going to put them down.
but
To 12. I think they
USC's
might put them at 11.
It's
If
going to be
they
tough.
lose, depending
gonna
on
be
how bad
tough.
the loss is.
USC
And
is
depending on how bad the loss
underrated.
is.
The other loss is to Northern Illinois. So if your 2 losses come to teams that are both under 500, both unranked, that's
then yeah.
pretty bad.
They'd
That's
be
what
out.
happened to Alabama, and that's why they're not in. So it's very, very possible.
It's
And
possible.
USC is not ranked at all. So I would say Notre Dame really needs to come ready because I think that can be a very doable upset.
I'm thinking Texas A&M.
Yeah, I see. I said that. I knew like a
Which for Texas A&M, it wouldn't be an upset them losing. They're not projected to win anyways.
Yeah.
But they are
We're not
playing. The game is in College Station.
But it's
so-
anyone's game in a way. I think even the ratio is like 52% Texas.
Yeah, it's like
it's nothing. It's nothing far.
It's something
apart about-
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it's not drastic. So and it's in
But-
Death
Anything is
Valley.
possible.
But if Texas, so I think that if Texas A&M loses, they're not getting into the playoffs.
They're not.
But
No, we're done. Yeah.
Texas A&M still have an opportunity to get in based on there's going to be an upset. Somebody in the top
Somebody
10
gonna
is
lose.
going to fall.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll help Texas A&M out if they win. But if Texas loses, the number 3 Texas right now, according to CFP, if Texas loses to Texas A&M, where does Texas fall? I think they're still in the top 12.
They in. They still in. Like you said, Jordan, they've been one of the very few consistent teams this year that have played well. Yes, they dropped the ball against Georgia. Okay, you're entitled to one bad game a year. I'll give it to you, whatever.
Cool.
After that, okay, how was the rest of your schedule? They handled business.
They've
went up
done
to
it well.
Michigan. They won. They have beaten everybody else. So as far as I know, they can lose A&M and still be in. Oh,
Sure.
yeah,
Man, I know you said that you are not the biggest fan of the 12-man bracket, but the 12-man bracket sure does stir up some conversation. I think that if there was no, that if there was no 12-man bracket, we would have finished 20 minutes ago because we would have only been discussing 4 teams.
But
But
that would have been boring, right? That would have been
it would
boring.
have been boring.
I
It
get
would
it.
have been
Some
boring.
team was interesting, maybe
You
some
know?
controversy.
Yeah, for once, the money decision actually makes a little bit more sense. They follow the
on.
money and it makes sense. But
Come on.
Dang.
no, Chris, we enjoyed having you on. We'll have to do this sometime again. Thank you so much for joining us. This
Thank
was great.
y'all. Hey, I had a blast. Yeah, we're
I had
going
a
to do this
blast.
again, y'all. We running
For
it
sure.
back. That's all I'm going to
For
say.
sure.
Well,
Kill it
don't
on your
forget us
live.
again. Yeah. We know you have a show to run to. But we will follow up with you and we will plan something again in the future. All
See
right.
you later.
We'll see you later, Chris.
Peace
Hey,
out.
thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, we definitely run in the back, y'all. Come on
For
now.
sure.
All righty. It was great having Chris P on the show
Yeah.
today. Nicole, tell us what we're gonna talk about next.
Okay, so have you heard about the new strategy or the new way the NBA is having the All-Star game in February?
I heard some talks about it, but provide me a little bit more details. I saw some influencers on TikTok talking about it.
So the NBA has a new All-Star game set up where there will be 4 teams. It'll be 3 NBA All-Star teams, comprised of 8 players and the winner of the Rising Star game. So there'll be 4 teams, 3 NBA teams, and then the winner of the Rising Stars team. And there will be 2 semifinal games that go up to 40 points, and then the finals game will go up to 25 points. And everybody is shit talking the NBA about this whole entire new way that they're trying to have the All-Star game. I will credit the NBA for trying to add pizzazz every year, and they're always trying to be innovative.
Trying to be innovative.
I
Yeah.
would say out of all of the leagues, the NBA switches it up the most, right? But no one is feeling this new NBA All-Star game format, and I don't blame them.
So, just from hearing your thoughts, like my immediate thoughts from hearing your comments off the
Yeah,
bat are like, yeah, the format needs to change because it was just simply boring. Like, I remember when I used to be so excited for the all-star games and stuff like that, but it just seems like the players just are not interested. They don't care. Now
they
it's
do
more
not.
so like, I'm protecting my body. I'm just like, I'm not gonna participate in anything that
Dude.
gives me the opportunity to get hurt. So
These
like,
players do not
yeah.
care whatsoever, and back in the day, everyone compares the NBA All-Star Game to back in the day when they actually competed. Now it's like everyone is literally chunking up three-pointers, like, on all ends of the court, and it's just not really competitive whatsoever. You'll have some of the best dunkers in the NBA on the sideline recording. Like, when Russell Westbrook was in his prime, "We wanna see you dunk. You
Yeah.
on a sideline. LeBron James,
Bring
we wanna see
bring
you.
bring Nate Robinson back.
We wanna see you." But they're on the sideline. And I get it. It's just crazy because I guess, these players are getting paid even more. So the
Yeah.
expectation is like, we wanna see more. And it's
Yeah.
like the reverse. And so they are getting so much crap for their new format. I don't blame them, but it is what it is.
I mean, to try we both know, like, if you wanna try something new, not every idea is going to be a good idea or an idea that sticks. You throw some ideas out there, you try 1 year, go back to the drawing board the year afterwards, like, live
Their
and learn.
their
They had to do
viewership.
something. They needed to do
Yeah.
something because now the NBA in terms of sports and watching and viewership, they have more competition than they've ever had before because the rise of college sports and how those leagues overlap with the professional sports, they
It's
gotta get
crazy.
creative and figure something out because the college sports are dominating.
It's crazy. Their viewership is actually, declining ridiculously when it even comes to the All-Star weekend and just regular season games, hence why they're doing an in-season tournament. So, we'll see if it pans out to be great. They're trying new things. You can't blame them. Um,
Okay.
but a crazy game happened this past weekend, and I would argue that it is the biggest upset of the last 5 years. The last 5 years
In
is crazy. It is the
is in,
biggest
like,
ups
in any sport
it is the
or
biggest upset in any sport, at least for the last year. 5 years is crazy. Don't throw stones at me. But in the last year, it is
did you
the
watch?
biggest
Okay, go ahead.
biggest upset in sports. South Carolina women's basketball has their 43 game winning streak has officially ended due to their loss to UCLA. The game ended in a 77-62 loss, and I think that's the biggest upset of the entire year. I mean, what team in any sport has a 43 game win streak?
You're right about that. No team in any
No
sport
team
has
in
that
any
long of a
sport.
win streak. If the I'll respectfully disagree on if that's the biggest upset of the year. or
I
the past
mean,
5 years,
let's
given what we just reported on, what was going on in college
but
football.
let's
But that is a very big disappointment to
objectively, we
yeah.
can ask the viewers objectively. A
Okay.
43 game win streak being ended. That to me sounds like the biggest upset of the year. Who won 43 games in a row?
Nobody.
Nobody.
None of y'all scores.
Nobody. And,
Okay.
and so for the first time in program history, the UCLA women's basketball team is ranked #1. So congratulations to them. I know it feels great to beat the top dog. And I'm actually very excited because one thing I will say about women's basketball compared to men's basketball is it's a little bit more predictable. And so when the #1 team goes down, it makes me excited for the game because now it feels like it can really be anyone's game come March Madness. And
Yeah,
so,
I hate, and this goes across any sport. I hate when the top dogs are always winning. Like that little stint of
yeah,
college football where it was
Bama, Bama,
Bama, Clemson, back
exactly,
and forth winning. I
exactly.
was like, oh my gosh, boo, lame, boo, 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 tomato, tomato. That shit was
It's not
boring.
fun.
So I don't like to see the top dogs at the top just like dominating for too long because it's just like boring. It's like, or like when the Warriors kept winning. It's just like, okay, can we switch up these teams? Like it's not even fun anymore. So I will say like congrats to the UCLA team.
Congrats to the UCLA team. Their coach actually said something that I felt like was so cold. The beginning starts before the beginning. She said something like that. I'm like, that's kind of tough. I'll figure it out later. But
Okay. Yeah. Tell her to explain and walk me through that one.
either way, we talked about college rosters, and there is a big class action lawsuit in the NCAA. House versus the NCAA is a crazy lawsuit where the plaintiffs, which are the student athletes, are suing the NCAA to recover damages ranging from 2016 to 2024 from NIL money that they have missed out on. I
Wait. I was gonna ask. I was like, are you a part of the action lawsuit? The class action lawsuit?
I am one of the victims. I I was
I'm like,
I have been damaged. And in
okay,
fact, one of my alma maters, I really don't feel like pointing figures because I'm a chill
do
girl.
it,
I'm a chill girl.
do
And
it.
so SMU has been using my athletic photos to bring students to the university. There's links that literally handhold people to the main university website. And I'm not getting no money for that.
So, and SMU is definitely. I'm glad you called out which institution it was because SMU is definitely a higher ranking institution, especially when it comes to the endowment. So
come on. So
they've got the money to pay.
I have opted into that class action lawsuit and they asked for proof and I just screenshotted the Instagram post because I feel like that's enough. And the Instagram post was in 2024. So you're still damaging me. I'm still being damaged. And so what has came about in that situation, the NCAA is on the hook for $2.75 billion. Um,
So, so what would about? Do you know how much money you personally would be getting if they win?
right. I don't know. I really don't know because how class action lawsuits, how it gets divvied up. I mean, every student athlete is basically from ranging from 2016 to 2024 is going to join the class action lawsuit. So
And for viewers for reference, a big a large institution like say your I don't know like what's the word I'm looking for?
the
Not y'all's
conferences,
yeah, you're like Power Five schools or like your D1 colleges will probably on average that have about I think you everybody can only have like 13 Olympic sports or 13 sports. Um
so the side effects to this is just another example of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, honestly. So
yeah.
the larger institutions will benefit more and the smaller institutions will honestly, a lot of these Olympic sports will dwindle down, like maybe men's track and field, men's soccer. Those tend to dwindle down the most. And we will see. So each so the Power 5 conferences, they are the ones who have to agree to the terms of what to do with the money when the money comes, right? If you are not a part of the Power 5, you can choose to opt in or you can choose to opt out. I don't really know what that means for those universities. They probably will get drastic budget cuts because another side effect to this is instead of scholarships being taken away technically, which scholarships in a way will be taken away, now these teams will have roster limits.
Which for so two things to point out before we go into that. So the average D1 school, plus or minus, might have like what 500 student athletes total
I
between
would say
like
give
if
or
you have
take.
like about around 400 to 500, 400 to
I would say
600
give or take
athletes.
because football is usually around 20%, 15 to 20%, because it's
So
usually
the
around 100
average,
plus.
so like when I worked for college football, okay, so Oklahoma's, just because I worked with these teams, Oklahoma's roster had about 115, 116
Yeah.
athletes on the team. That includes walk-ons. And then but you're like Bama's and Georgia's would have like 135.
Nebraska has 155.
To not be winning and have that many people on your team as backups is absolutely insane. They
They
do
have
need
a
they do need to cut
100.
them damn rosters down because now you're just spending fucking money making
They have
extra uniforms that aren't
100.
needed.
They have 155 rosters, players on their roster, and
But that,
so
think about the costs that are like that
the
are
gear.
affected by that gear on average. The average helmet right now, I don't have this specific helmet, but like these helmets are from like 2016, 2017. These are about $600-700 helmets with all the software and the padding a piece. So when you're paying $700 for a helmet and you got 155 people on your team versus 105, that's a big difference. Maybe not for these entities that are making hundreds of millions, but SMU is not profiting 100 million from their
Right.
football program. And then, but
Right.
then that's just a helmet. That's not uniforms. That's not meal
Food.
plans,
Mm-hmm.
travel. It's like, okay, we need a bigger charter plane because we have 155 people on the team, plus all the coaches and their wives and their children.
Come on.
And then the equipment managers, the band, the
So
cheerleaders,
much is
the
gonna get cut.
dancers. It's, oh my gosh, like that adds up.
So I think like this will just be a trickle down effect, which would, force players to go to schools where where their talent belongs, in a
Where they're
way,
where they have higher
where they're appreciated.
higher chances of actually playing and touching the
Playing,
field. And so like but I think you said it will make the bigger teams better and the smaller teams, it'll affect the middle, say the
Yeah.
middle class of those schools. But
Literally.
I think it kind of helps them out in a way because Bama and Clemson can afford to have 150 people on their team and and have a 7 deep depth chart at quarterback. Whereas these other teams, it's like we can only afford 2 quarterbacks. So I think in some ways it could level the playing field.
It's just crazy how we live in a capitalistic society. I'm not trying to get nerdy. We live in a capitalistic society, and with NIL being such like a dollar money, quote unquote, hungry system, like it is affecting the have and have nots in college sports.
But guess
And
who else it affects?
who?
High school recruits.
It does.
They're high school recruits. If you have 50,
does.
if these college teams are going from 150 kids, that's not normal. Let's say 135 is the average. If these teams are going from 135 to 105, cutting 30 people, in some schools like Nebraska are cutting 50, that means all those people are entering the transfer portal. That means
It's gonna be tough.
we can get an experienced already
Player.
like player that's already played in college. They know
what's going
it
on.
looks like to play for 102,000 people. They already know how to balance school and football.
They're ready to hit the ground running, basically,
Yeah, that
compared
means
to
that
freshmen.
it means that less high school players are going to be recruited. That affects high school players significantly. The transfer portal is already
Stacked.
overcrowded. It's already
stacked.
stacked. It was already
Yeah.
a mess, but this
Changes
adds
a lot.
essentially like what's the numbers? If each team is cutting 20 people on a team of 150, 20% of 150 is
Don't do me.
I can't do it right now.
Do not do me. Don't even test me like that, please.
Round it
Don't.
up to 100.
It's over
less than
20
like
people.
15%.
It's a lot of people. And I think what it does to high school recruits is you have to be ridiculously crisp. Like, you have to have a solid resume. Like, no one's playing around
You're
anymore.
you're
No one's saving
essentially
you.
yeah, you're essentially doing 2 things that I could think of off the top of my head. You're eliminating 3 and 4-star athletes. It really essentially you're eliminating all the 3-star athletes. Now coaches are only going for 4 and 5 stars.
It's true. It's true.
And then the
But
second thing is all those behavioral problems that
they're
these
not cut.
5-star players are having in
We
high
don't got
school.
time.
Oh, you beating up girls. Oh, you got domestic violence issues.
We don't
Your
have time.
grades are a little on the line. It's like, we only have this many spots. We're gonna go with the 4-star
Who's acting right?
who has straight A's and B's versus the 5-star that we might
Exactly.
only be able to keep for a semester or a year that can't act right.
But my thing is this also. One thing that I feel like we're not considering with this conversation, we're saying like the walk-ons will be cut off, but we had glorious stories of walk-ons like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was a walk-on,
Mhm.
and he is now in the NFL. He is now
Yeah,
a
he's
starting
a Heisman winner.
right? He's a Heisman winner, and he was a walk-on. So now with these player cut or roster cuts or roster limits, I just wonder how things are gonna shake out. And it's crazy because I know Nick Saban was like, "This NIL is stirring too much of the pot." I am out.
Yeah, which I agreed. I do
I
think
am
that
out.
NIL. I've said it on other podcasts. I think that NIL is kind of like
It's an
affecting,
uncontrollable beast.
it's kind of ruining college football.
Amateurism.
I'm glad that the players now get paid, and they get the ability to make money
Yeah.
off of their name, image, and likeness, and off of their abilities. But it's changing the
It's
landscape of
changing the
college
landscape
football.
of
We just saw that one recruit for the class of 2025 decommit from LSU to go to Michigan because they said, "We'll give you $10 million." Like, what's gonna happen now? You have a player making more than the coach. You have a
yeah.
player making $10 million, and his teammates were like, "Oh, well, I just signed a deal, blah blah blah, for 10,000." It's like,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
add 3 more zeros.
The rich get richer. It's just crazy. The programs that are already robust and doing great, the large programs will get larger, and the smaller programs will have to really manage what they have. The competition is getting fierce. Everyone's going to be on their P's and Q's. Everyone needs to dot their I's and cross their T's. The NIL has created a major wave in college sports. We're here, and this ruling comes into effect 2025 fall. So next
Next
season.
season. Next season.
Next season. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't wanna say excited. I am, interested in learning more about, like,
I wanna
the
see how much money
intricacies
I
of
get.
that rule. I am too. I wanna see how much money
I
you
wanna
get
see how
too.
much money I get because 'cause they're still using
Do
my photo.
tell. We're
I
gonna
wanna
follow
see
up on the podcast and
I
ask for sure.
you know, I'm a victim, and I am going to, you know, give my I don't wanna say I'm gonna give my day in court, but, you know, I just I don't know. You know, I should probably know how to elaborate this more because 'cause I'm an attorney, but I'm lost for words because I'm hurting. So
I wanna look into all the implications and, like, all the different, like, you know,
nuances, exactly.
nuances in the
For
in
sure.
that class action lawsuit and how it's affecting so much. And I know, like, I heard, like, a snippet from, Nebraska's coach, who is it, Matt Rule, about his thoughts on it, etcetera, but, like, yeah, they're gonna have to send a couple players that were on the team, like, seniors, juniors are going to have to enter the
Right.
transfer portal, so come December, they should be looking to go elsewhere. I mean, really during bowl games, it's like, if your team's not eligible to be in the playoffs or win a championship, you should opt out of the game and look for a new team
Oh
and
my
get a head
gosh.
start on it.
And speaking of game, have you seen, these UT and Texas A&M tickets?
Insane. So,
Ridiculous.
fun fact, I think I sent it to you on Instagram. Right now, the most expensive ticket for a sporting event this weekend is a ticket to the Texas A&M
That
University
game
of
is gonna be
Texas game.
crazy.
Wait. That means that this ticket is the most tickets to this game are more expensive. It's the most expensive ticket to get in college football, but it's also the most expensive ticket out of all NFL games as well.
Oh my gosh. I actually looked it up before we started recording just to see if I could go. And the cheapest ticket that I found was $601, and it was in the nosebleed.
Yeah,
It was in the nosebleed.
I saw them going for as high as $5,000.
That's crazy.
Like for resale. For resale. Mind you, like these students are paying like $11, $12 for these tickets and reselling them.
That is ridiculous.
For $1,200. Were you gonna go to that game this week?
I was not gonna go to that game. I have a wedding. But other than that, I was definitely going to be tuned in at the table.
I was going to consider it was either the A&M versus Texas game for me or Oklahoma versus LSU, just because I love Death Valley. I love their stadium and I wanted to go to New Orleans, but I'm just like, if I just don't feel like driving 8 hours,
yeah,
I'm just gonna go to the A&M game.
Right. But that is crazy, and that is all that I have, unless you have some extras.
Nope, that's all for me. That's all from my end. Until next week when
Yes, ma'am.
this is the last week of college football, so next week we have a great episode on the breakdown of who potentially is going to get in, who's going to be out, et cetera, of the college football 12-team playoff bracket for the first time ever. So
yes,
I'm excited for next week's episode. I'm super excited for the games this week. But if that's all that we have, I am Jardin.
And it's your girl, Nicole.
And we are signing out from the Playbook Diaries podcast. Until next week.
See you later.
Bye, y'all.